This week on Engage the Sage.
Hi everyone, I'm Don Saucier. Welcome to this week's episode of Engage the Sage. This week, I'm going to talk to you about how to bring peace and empathy to your research lab. I had a colleague ask me recently how our perspectives on trickle-down engagement and peace and empathy could be incorporated not just in teaching, but also in mentoring and in research lab supervision. I think this is an excellent question, and I think our principles of trickle-down engagement, peace, and empathy can easily be generalized from the teaching domain to the research domain, and in this video, I'm going to tell you some specific ways about how to do that. I'm going to start by saying we should be supporting our research students, our research mentees, and our research collaborators in our research activities. Through this video, because we interact with people in a lot of different ways in our research labs, I'm going to be referring to the students in our research labs, the people that we mentor in research, and our research collaborators as our research partners. We should strive to support all of our research partners in having positive and valuable experiences in our labs. By supporting those experiences for our research partners, we can create engagement and connection in our research labs. I want my research lab to be a space in which the research that we do is a vehicle for my research partners' personal and professional development. So I'm going to bring peace to my research lab. By peace is an acronym that stands for preparation, expertise, authenticity, caring, and engagement. As an extension of that caring component of peace, I think we should focus also on bringing empathy in particular to our research lab spaces. Empathy, simply defined, is thinking what other people are thinking and feeling what they're feeling. And I think as we try to take on those cognitive and emotional perspectives of our research partners, we're going to create more meaningful and valuable and supportive lab experiences for those research partners. So my overarching recommendation is let's bring peace and empathy to our research labs. But now I'm going to provide you 5 specific recommendations about how to do that. My first recommendation for bringing peace and empathy to our research labs is to respect our research partners. We should respect our research partners as people. We should respect the contributions of our research partners. As my colleague Greg Eislein has told me before, and you've probably heard me say, good teachers teach content, great teachers teach people. I think that great research mentors also mentor people. Our research partners bring more than a pair of hands to our research lab. They bring with them insights, creativity, and contributions that make our labs not only better places to be, but also more productive. I remind myself all the time, and I tell my research partners about this, that the only difference between me and, let's say, my research students is a couple of years of education and experience. I am not inherently smarter. I am not inherently more creative. I am not cooler by any means. All that has happened is I've been doing this longer. And respecting that my research partners are often just a little bit earlier in their progression is important in me respecting them. Another way that we can demonstrate our respect for our research partners is rather than calling the students in our lab research assistants, we can refer to them as research partners or research collaborators. I think a term like partner or collaborator is a more respectful way to honor the contributions that my research partners are making than what I would be saying than if I called them my assistant. My second recommendation for bringing peace and empathy to our research labs is to streamline our research processes. When I mean streamline, I mean let's avoid as much as we can any unnecessary bureaucracy, any unnecessary record keeping, anything that is more burdensome than productive. In our research labs, at all costs, we should be avoiding busy work. We should make sure that all of the research tasks that we ourselves do and our research partners do are necessary. We should make sure that all of those tasks are important and serve an important goal in the lab, either to increase the lab's productivity or to increase the personal and professional development of the members of the lab. In streamlining our research processes, we should be clear and reasonable about what we determine is necessary and important. And in keeping in line with respecting our research partners, letting our research partners know what is important and necessary and why is going to be respectful of them. The third way that I recommend that we bring peace and empathy to our research labs is to be empathetic to the life circumstances of our research partners. As much as we may forget this sometimes, Our research labs are not the only priorities and responsibilities of the research partners in our research labs. They have other things going on, and those are important other things. I think it is important that we recognize and respect those important other things. When we set meeting times, when we set deadlines, we should be cognizant of those important other things and not create barriers to the other priorities and responsibilities of our research partners' lives. We should be respectful of things like job responsibilities, childcare responsibilities, family time, personal time, when we're setting meetings and deadlines. Setting a meeting or a deadline after hours, on a weekend, over a break, right before a break, during finals week, these are things that I would suggest are probably not empathetic to the circumstances of our research partners' lives. If you can, I would involve my research partners in the decisions about when meetings will happen and when things will be due. If you can, let them set their own meeting times, their own schedules, and their own deadlines. Now, I acknowledge this may not always be possible, but I think letting your students know that you're trying to do these things goes a long way in showing respect and empathy for your research partners. In being empathetic, I'm also going to suggest that you have empathetic meetings. And here I'm going to leave a little bit of a teaser because our next video is going to tell you what I mean by having empathetic meetings. While you're being empathetic to the life circumstances of your research partners, I think it's also important to portray yourself as an actual relatable person. Our research partners are not going to be inspired if we present ourselves as brilliant robots. They're going to be more inspired to do wonderful things in our research labs if we are relatable people who authentically care about them as people and their personal and their professional development. My fourth specific recommendation about how to bring peace and empathy to our research labs is going to extend this point. My fourth recommendation is to share with your research partners your challenges and failures. Unfortunately, the research process has a lot of failure involved. A lot of our hypotheses are not supported by our data, papers get rejected, grants don't get funded. Sometimes people don't get into graduate school and don't get hired for jobs. So normalizing and discussing our own failures is going to be helpful in letting our students know that rejection is part of the process and it doesn't doom them to consistent failure to have an obstacle or a barrier show up in their process. Many of our research partners, and even ourselves, we are very familiar with the imposter phenomenon. The imposter phenomenon is this feeling that actually you're a fraud and you're going to get found out at any minute and you're going to lose your position, your status, your job, your spot in that program. And what I think we need to do is to normalize our own failures and our own struggles with those imposter phenomenons to let them know that, hey, these self-doubts and these failures are just part of the process. By sharing our challenges and our failures with our research partners, we can hopefully inspire them to persevere through the failures that all of us face. I mentioned a couple of opportunities for failure along the way. So for instance, the first one that maybe some of your students might be facing, some of your research partners might be facing, is applications to graduate school. Share with them that I applied to 5 graduate schools and I only got into 1, but it only takes 1. Maybe some of the graduate students in your research lab are thinking about applying for jobs. Maybe they're applying for tenure track positions. Share with my students that when I came out into the job market after getting my PhD, I applied to 40 tenure track assistant professor positions and got 41 rejections. Another place we have a lot of rejection and failure is in the publication process, where we submit these manuscripts for publication that we just poured our heart and souls into. We've wordsmithed them, we made sure that they're clear, complete, concise, and compelling, all those wonderful writing tips that we provided, and sometimes they come back with the editor saying no. I actually have files in which I record what I call my publication ordeals, and I share those ordeals with my students. For instance, as of today, I have 90 peer-reviewed journal articles that are published or in press. I've actually submitted 151 different manuscripts, though, and have submitted, my research partners and I have pressed submit 500 times in my career to produce those 90 articles to date. On 238 occasions, I received outright rejections on those submissions, meaning the editor said no, and we don't want to see a revision. As an example, one of my top journal articles, which has been cited more than 500 times, is a meta-analysis looking at how media images impact male body image. I love this paper. The first author in this paper is one of my research partners, an individual named Chris Barlett, who was a graduate student at the time that we had the paper accepted. Despite this being a wonderful paper that has been cited, over 500 times now, it was accepted on its 8th submission at its 4th journal. I think that when we share challenges and failures like this with our research partners, we will inspire them to work with us in knowing that we are there to support their learning, their development, and their success. My 5th recommendation for bringing peace and empathy to our research labs is to demonstrate our gratitude to our research partners. We should tell our research partners often that we are grateful for their contributions. We should be specific about what we are grateful for, and we should mean it every single time that we say it. This is something I actually don't think that we do enough in academia. I don't think we express our gratitude to each other in any domain as much as we should. We never want anyone to feel that what they're doing with us is thankless. And one of the best ways to demonstrate your gratitude moving forward is to continue to bring peace and empathy to your research lab. In conclusion, I want to say that I think we all should bring peace and empathy to our research labs with authenticity and intention. And I hope that the recommendations that I provided with you today are going to give you some concrete ways to bring peace and empathy to your research labs and to create connection and meaningful experiences for your research partners. In the comments below, I would love to hear about your research lab experiences, and in particular, I would love to hear how you bring peace, empathy, and connection to your research partners. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Engage the Sage. Please like, subscribe, sign up for notifications, share us on social media, and we'll see you next time on Engage the Sage.